Hi everybody, it's Tamara from Eyes, and today we have the Peekaboo paper pads. So these were quite popular over on Instagram, so I had a few people that said they would be interested in a tutorial, so that's what we're going to do today. And these are so easy, but they are so pretty, so they'll have a big impact in any journal. And you can just use them on their own, just as a paper pad, but like I said, I'm going to be putting mine in a journal. And you can either clip it in or slip it in a tuck spot, or just attach the back right onto a page or inside cover or something like that. Anything you want. And you can make them as big or as small as you want. It's really just a square. So that makes it really easy to adjust, and it's really flexible. So why is it a Peekaboo paper pad? Peekaboo. That's why. And inside I just have some scraps, and these are actually coffee and tea stain papers that I made that I have scanned, and I guess really they're digitals, but I don't sell them or anything. I just scan them and I print them off, and I like them because you can adjust on your computer. You can adjust and really pull out some designs, like on this one. I'm not sure if you can see that. And you can pull out the character in the paper, and it's nice and smooth, so it's easy to write on, but you still get all the lovely, you know, the staining and all of that kind of thing. So that's why I use these. Yeah, so that's that one, and this one looks slightly different only because I flipped the doily so that it makes a whole doily image, and then that's what's on the inside. And you can use anything you want. I've got some lined paper in here, got part of a memo pad. It's a great little scrap buster. Okay, so let's get started. So my first tip for you today is how to get your hands on these. It's sort of like a glassine bag, I think. It's a paper bag, but it's very thin and quite transparent. Now I'm going to tell you, this is a secret, and use this tip with caution. You can get these for free in any public ladies' washroom. These are the bags that are provided for the disposal of feminine hygiene products, but I say use that tip with caution, because please do not go out and take all the bags in the washroom because people need them, people use them. But if you happen to be in there and you take one or two, I don't think anybody's going to notice, and you can just play around with them and see if you like them or not. I just like the sound even. They have a great sound, and the weight is really nice as well. So let's get started with our pilfered glassine bag. So to start with, I want to see just how much I have to work with. So I'm just going to take off the bottom of the bag, tear it right off, and then I'm going to cut along the back seam so I can open it right out. Now you're going to have some creases in the paper, and that's okay. You can use them to your advantage, or you can just ignore them too. They won't really get in your way. It's not a big deal. So my Peekaboo paper pads are 5 by 5. So don't cut a 5 by 5 square. What I want you to do is cut to measure. It'll be 5 inches up and down, and then it'll be 10 inches across, because the two sides have to come in and meet in the center. So to start with, let's see here, I think I'm going to fold this up just so I can fit it on my little paper, my cutting mat here, and I'm going to measure 5 inches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I know I could just look at the number and know instantly where 5 is, but I've done that before, and somehow I often end up 1 inch short, so I never trust myself, and I always count it out just to be absolutely sure. It's just like in construction, right? Measure twice, cut once. Yeah. Just to be on the safe side. Okay, so I've got my height that I want. Now, let's see here. So I want, and I'm going to use this crease over here to my advantage so that it becomes one of the flips. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that's where, I'm just going to fold it now so I can keep that in mind. That's going to be the other side. And then I just need to go 2.5 inches over from that, and then I can cut. Probably seems a little bit convoluted the way I'm doing it, but that's just how my mind works. Okay, and then this one, so again I'm using this fold line here, and I'm just going to go 2.5 inches over on this side. So all in all, it's about 10 inches long and 5 inches tall, and you can see how it meets in the middle. Now, you can leave it this way, and you can, I tried one where I just sort of bent the edges down and, you know, play with it and see what you like, but I like this rounded, curved edge thing here. So what I'm going to do is bring those front pages together, wrong sides together, and I'm going to line them up as best I can. And I'm just going to eyeball this. I'm not going to get all fussy about being even or anything. So I'm going to start at that fold line, and I'm just going to cut a curve up to somewhere in the middle. I'm not even measuring that, so don't ask me, you know, how far you go or, you know, any of that kind of stuff. I don't care. Cut it to wherever you want. I'm not going to cut it to a point. You can if you want. I'm just not. I'm just making it curved, just like that. And because I cut both sides at the same time, they should be even. So now I get that look to it, okay? So what's next here? I think I'm going to add my doily. And I have a cute little white paper doily here. And again, I'm not going to get crazy about measuring. I'm just going to fold it in half so I can see where the middle is. Oh, I feel like I have 2. I do. And then I'm going to cut it. And that should be right about there. I don't think a junk journal should be perfect. I think it should have the feeling of being handmade, which means sometimes things are a little wonky. That's okay. So now you have the option. You can put them like this, and so you're saying, well, why would you cut that then? Just because. It's just a design choice. You can keep it straight. You can curve it around your doily, whatever you want. It's nice to have those pieces gone if you're going to put your doily this way. And let me just see. I'm going to use, I think I picked a image here. I'm going to use this lovely little bird here. So should it go that way? Or should it go this way? Let's see. Design on the fly. Oh, I think that's quite pretty. I think we'll put the doilies so they make a full doily when they come together. Okay, so before I glue my doilies on, of course, I'm just gonna very, very lightly ink the edges a little bit. Doesn't have to be too crazy because the paper doilies are really quite fragile, aren't they? You have to be so careful when working with them. And you don't have to use doilies. You could just use a piece of scrapbooking paper or really anything you want. If you have images, you know, like sometimes, as an example on this tag, this printed image in the middle, that came as one of the cutouts in one of my pads that I got on Black Friday. So you can use things like that, anything you want really. And then for the image that you're going to put on top, if you choose to add an image, ideally you want something with just a tiny bit of weight to it. This is particularly nice because it's a lightweight chipboard. I don't know if that's chipboard. It's like a lightweight cutout. This is just copy paper, and it's a little lighter, but it still does the job. And then this is something I cut from a book, so it's got a little bit more weight to it. Yeah, so go with the flow. Okay, now I said I was going to do them this way, right? Okay, so I found that the easiest thing with these is the glue stick. It's messy, but it seems to work better than any kind of liquidy glue that would seep through all those pretty little cuts in the doily. So I'm just going to lay one side down. Again, I'm not getting too crazy about is it centered and all that kind of stuff. Go in and get my edges, make sure the edges are glued down. There we go. And then we'll do the other side and we'll just sort of hope that it lines up really. Okay, let's see here. There we go. Perfect. Okay. Next, I think I'm going to, before I put my bird on, I am going to put that aside, and I've already cut out the pieces for my paper pad on the inside, just because I didn't think that would be very exciting to watch. And basically, I made mine about 4 3/4-ish square. Just, you know, make it so that it'll fit inside your 5-inch square. And I've got just a bunch of different kinds of papers. Some are lined, some are just plain. I've got some accounting page in there, all that kind of stuff, fun stuff. So those are cut and ready to go. Now what we need is this top piece here. So I have a piece of, this is just a scrap. This is why you never throw anything away. Even though this looks like I've used the whole page, there's lots of paper on here still. So I'm just going to cut this little piece off. And I think I'm going to use this piece here. It looks like I can get a piece of there that will work for me. There we go. So I don't have to play with all that stuff. Okay. So there's a couple ways you can do this. Just because of the shape of my scrap, I'm just going to cut a long strip and wrap it around. I think on this one, no, that's what I did with this one. This one with the book page, I was able to wrap it around this way, and I used a scallop scissors and made a little scalloped edge. I'm not sure. I don't think I'm going to do that on this one. Yeah, so I'm just going to make a strip here that's semi-even. will work. And this is some very old Anna Griffin paper. Yeah, it's super old. This was long before I know who Anna Griffin was. I got a pack of her paper and I didn't know how lucky I was, I guess. So this is going to go across the top. Now, you can glue all your papers together at the top if you want to. You could just staple this on. I don't have a stapler that's strong enough though, so I'm just going to wrap it around here. I think I'm going to ink that edge a little bit. Don't really need to go all the way to the edge because that's going to be in the back, but I can't help it. It's just a habit. Just have to ink, ink, ink. All right. There we go. That's good. Okay, so make sure everything's lined up. That's going to go around, and I think what I'm going to do, I am going to glue this top edge down just to keep it all secure. Now, what glue will I use? Oh, my desk is such a mess. I didn't even realize my glue was sitting right beside me. Jeepers. Okay, so now I'm going to be making holes in this paper, so I don't need to go too crazy. I just want to have a little bit on the corners and in the middle there so that I know it's going to stay in place when I'm trying to put everything together. Okay, whoops. So I want my bottom to be lined up more so than my top. There we go. And I'm going to put just a little dab of glue on the back one as well. This is a completely unnecessary step. I just am finding this a little slippery, and I think this will help me to keep things together. There we go, and there we go. So you see, it doesn't even have to meet in the back because nobody is going to see that. All right, so then I'm going to slip this in here, and actually this is where I am going to glue it down right onto my pad. You don't have to glue it. If you don't glue it whenever you're done with your paper pad, you can take it out and replace it with another, and then you don't have to lose your outside portion. Depends what you're using this for though, right? If you're putting it in a journal, might be something you don't want to get rid of when you're done with it. If you're just throwing it in your purse and using it for a shopping list, might be something that you want to replace at some point. All right, now there are a lot of layers here, so I'm going to pull out the big guns and make a couple of little holes. Now this I am sort of going to give myself some measurements here. There's the 2.5 inch mark, and I just want to go on either side of that. And of course, now there is probably a pencil here somewhere, but I don't see it. So I'm just going to, I'm going to go about 1/2 inch on either side of the halfway mark. You can just do it wherever, whatever makes sense for you. There we go. Now I'm just using that to mark. Now if you don't have a big crocodile, you can just use whatever you would normally use to put in your signatures. That should work for you. All right, so I'm just going to make a little hole. Sorry, I think the camera probably jumped there. There we go. Okie dokie. Now I'm going to add a little bit of twine. And again, I don't know how much, just whatever looks about right. And put it through from the back. This is probably too much actually, too much twine. Oh, and this end is a little bit frayed, so I'm just going to give it a snip. Okay, and then we just tie it up, tie a cute little bow. Oh, here's my second tip. So when I'm tying my bows, if I just go ahead and tie it, usually when my bow's done, it kind of shifts and it's up and down instead of across. So what I do, I flip this away from me. And I remember back to my brownie days, and if you were in brownies, I don't know, this just got burned into my brain. When you're tying your necktie, it is left over right and under, and then right over left and through. And so if I had a scarf, that would allow the scarf to like sit nicely down. I don't have a scarf here, but what happens when I make my bow, I might have to do a little bit of adjusting, but for the most part, then the bow is sitting as it should, left to right. See? Normally my bows would go like that. So that's another quick little tip. And these tails are just a tiny bit too long because I cut my twine too long. So I'm just going to give them a snip so they don't get in the way when I'm using my paper pad. Okay, and now all I need to do is add my bird. There we go. I almost lost my bird. And I'll give her just a tiny bit of ink around the edge. There we go. She's all inked up and ready to go, and so this would be pretty enough, and that's probably where I would normally stop actually, to be honest with you. But what I am learning in junk journaling is it's kind of the opposite of when you're getting dressed for a big night out. When you get dressed, you sort of get all ready to go, and then I think the golden rule is you're supposed to take one thing off, right, so that you're not overdoing it. But I'm finding with junk journaling, when you think you're done, add one more thing. Okay, so you want this, I'm going to glue down just one side. Don't glue down both sides. And you just want that one side to be glued to one side of your page, obviously. Otherwise, you're not going to be able to open it up. So because it goes across both halves, though, it holds down the other side of the doorway. But then this holds, then see, it's just like that. There we go. So if I use my little golden rule about adding one more thing, I do feel like I could add like a rhinestone or some sparkle or something. I'm not sure yet. Let's see. So when you see the finished product, there might be a little bit more added to it because I feel like I could add one more thing. But there we go. There's another version. So very easy. A little bit more. It's not quite as quick as some of our other projects, but I think it's well worth the effort that you put into it because these are just so pretty, and again, they make a great addition to any junk journal or any other project you have going on. And listen to the paper. It's so cool. Alright, so there we go. I really need to clean up my desk because it is a disaster area. I can't find anything. But thank you very much for joining me today. I hope you had fun, and happy crafting, and I'll see you again soon. Bye-bye.